auth, landing page, and then a new stuff. I'm going to be testing this out today, just to see how it works. Yeah, just to see how all of this stuff works. So billing is new, was added this week. I'm pretty sure it was this week. Pretty sure. So you have the billing scaffold, and then there's the whole billing documentation over here. And then waitlist. So if you want to generate a little waitlist for your project, just so people don't have access to stuff you're still building and all of that, you can use scaffold waitlist. Okay, so those are the main four things. I was kind of, I don't know if I actually published it, but then I also worked on the Shatsian stuff I mentioned. So you could, yeah, I don't think I did that. It's 15 hours ago. So yeah, but we'll still try it anyway before it goes out. Um, yeah. So there would also be a few more scaffolds, like later, blog, admin panel stuff, API dashboard, stuff. So yeah, so that's kind of what we're giving you. And what's happening to this stored? Okay, let me just try restarting that. Okay, that's going to probably take another forever. Yeah, so that's just about the scaffold and stuff. The Leaf CLI got a little update, clear all of this. Make this bigger. Okay, create. Let's just create a little. And I'm going to use a hyphen for this. Okay, project name. And then I'll select the full stack application. So usually what happens is Leaf always kind of tries to set a few stuff up for you, including your database. Of course, we have some default stuff. First, the default option has been removed. React.js Vue Svelte. Why? Because yeah. In the meantime, let's see. It was mostly just bug fixes and then working on a scaffold and stuff. So that was majority of the week actually. Okay, allo docs documentation got a little update, and then I have a little update I'm supposed to make to the inertia documentation. So I'm supposed to add the Shotzi and stuff. And then I was thinking whether it would be better to separate this inertia documentation to like a React Vue Svelte, just so I can add a bit more information. But then I don't know if that's necessary because most of the information you probably need is already on the inertia documentation. So I don't know if that would be a good idea to kind of like just duplicate that information. Yeah, we also added a deployments guide. I think that was from last week. I'm not so sure. I think it was from last week, yeah. So just a little addition for deploying inertia apps first. If you don't do it right, you might break application. Yeah. Oh, and by the way, we also threw in bits about deployments for different modules. So it's not just inertia. There was also queues, workers. There was one for billing too. I think billing also had a deployment section. Not sure why it's not here. And then a couple of other modules too. So yeah, we are including deployment guides for different modules and then different use cases and stuff like that. So for deployment, I think billing has one. Actually, don't know. How's the billing documentation? Okay, so there's like a production checklist of things you should have, like a webhook secret, and if you're using CSRF, stuff like that. Yeah. So just check through for whatever module you are using. There would probably be a deployment section or a production checklist or something like that. Okay. So back here we have a React Leaf MVC project. Pretty much nothing serious. Anyway, so we can cd test, whatever that project name is. And then as usual, I'll just open this up in VS Code. Okay. So yeah, we have a pretty normal Leaf MVC setup. There's actually nothing going on here. In my environment file, I have this. Yeah, nothing. Yeah, so this is the little fix that was done for the database name. So you would not have an error anymore if you just pop up your terminal and run php leaf db migrate. So this would just work. Leaf will create a database for you and then run your migrations. So from there, you can just leave serve and your application would work just right. Okay, what's going on? All right, I ran it before the server started. Okay, what on earth is going on here? Can't resolve failing CSS animate. Please tell me this thing did not fail. Yeah, that happened. Yeah. npm gave up on installing my dependency. Let me just delete my package lock and then just run pmpmi. But then unfortunately, some of the dependencies come from the CLI. Yeah? So that anyway. Okay. How to keep this up to date. Okay, so yeah, this means we have to take a little time off to look at other things, and then we come back when this install is done. Okay. Da, 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 da. Yeah, what else was done? Documentation. I've already talked about that. I've talked about the CLI update. Let's see. Stripe billing, inertia. We're about to talk about all of that stuff. This was the most recent version. We patched up the database name issue and then we removed the port option. Yeah, so we've actually talked about everything that was done with the CLI. Stripe billing, inertia, yeah, we're going to talk about that. MVC core, leaf auth, leaf date. We talked about leaf date last week, I think. Leaf auth got some billing features. Basically, we talk about all of that stuff. Anyway, so this is done. Let me just leave serve and hopefully got all the dependencies. But okay, refresh, and yeah, they actually did not get all the dependencies. So I have to manually install them all. So I can pmpmi, go in CSS animate, and a bunch of other dependencies too, which probably they not install. Okay, refresh. Okay, we're good. Okay. So our database has already been created for us by Leaf. And then you'd probably not have to go through this. I don't know what happened with npm trying to install my dependencies. It just timed out. Anyway, so we can just register. Just so I mentioned I would fix this issue, but I totally forgot to. The button here uses a gray color with white text, like super bad contrast. Anyway, so yeah, this is what we have. This is what we have. If you install any Leaf MVC project, depending on whatever front end, doesn't even matter what front end you're using, you would still have this entire setup. Okay, so I am going to switch from the latest version of Allo to the dev dependency just because it hasn't been released yet. I totally forgot to do that before this Hangout. But then you'd probably have this later. Okay. So now when I type PHP leaf, I should have access to a bunch of new scaffold commands. So scaffold all, scaffold landing page, scaffold mail, scaffold chatcn, and scaffold waitlist. Okay. So I'm using React so I can scaffold chatcn, and that would look like PHP leaf scaffold chatcn. And it will generate all the necessary files I need to actually use chatcn. Once again, we don't do this by default because we don't want to have your project with this many files. This looks pretty terrible to me because I have just so many files here, which I'm not using. In fact, pretty much everything from down here, because if you're usually building a Leaf project, yeah, I mean, from node modules downwards, you don't have to touch anything except your env file. So you have a whole lot of files down here, which you absolutely are not using. Yeah, and that kind of disturbs me. So um, we don't ship with a bunch of things by default just because we don't want you to have things you don't need. So if you need it, you can just scaffold them with a single command, and that would be all. So now I can use cn UI, cn UI, and let's go for a random component, um, one which we don't include by default, so we can go something. Let's go with a switch. So something like this, I can just copy the installation for the switch. This says Laravel here, but then it's pretty much the same thing because once you run the scaffold.cn command, everything that was built for Laravel was also work for Leaf MVC. So yeah, anyway. So we just run this command and .cn will do a spin and install whatever we need to install. And we get one new thing here. So how do I even use the switch component? The documentation down here somewhere. Switch. There we go. Okay. So basically we just have to switch like this. Let me just copy this whole thing. Okay. So now I would head over to the dashboard and maybe down somewhere here. I have to import switch from at components UI switch because that's what .cn added for us. And then label which already exists from the default stuff we give you. Okay. So a quick refresh and there we have our switch working fine. .cn. Um so yeah, that's how you can get .cn working. This will be published and the documentation will also be updated. For now, you'd have to use the dev version. I mean, probably after this Hangout, I would actually publish the main version. So yeah, you would be able to do it right after installation, configuring anything yourself. Yeah, so this works not for just the built-in .cn components, it works for other stuff. So this is blocks.so, written by Duncan. So let's just pick something random from here and we can install this as well. I'm just going to hide the server. Okay. Yeah, so technically you can use .cn, the default .cn stuff, you can use .cn blocks, all of that. Yeah, I know this is heavily for the React folks, unfortunately. Oh. So what did they install? Okay, weird, wrong location. But anyway, um, let's see, collapse this, and then I just have to move this into components, and I have no idea why I installed that in the wrong location because I installed this in the right location. Anyway, so to use this, what was the file name? That was stats01. So we could probably just stats01, save, and there we go. So technically, this is how easy it is to use .cn. And you don't have to configure anything. Just run the command and Leaf will do everything for you. It will generate all of the files that you need for .cn to think in a Laravel project. Anyway, yeah, so that's how to get to working. Yeah, okay. So that is scaffold .cn, that's how it works. But then we have a bunch of other things you can scaffold. Okay, let's go back to the scaffold documentation. And which one should we start with? Should we start with billing or should we start with waitlist? Let's just start with waitlist. Okay, cool. So we have this project here. right? Which displays a bunch of items, profit, late payment, whatnot. So let's say we're just building a project and we had to keep people out or give us access to some people. We could do that with PHP Leaf, Scaffold, what was that command? Waitlist. Okay. So this will generate a bunch of files, controllers, views, all of that stuff. And then it would generate a bunch of database tables. So you run the migrations just so we have the database tables working. I'm already logged in, so I don't lose access. But then for let me just log out, and this is what we get. So once you scaffold waitlist, if you have the default welcome screen, it just replaces it with this. But if you have something else, it just keeps it. It doesn't overwrite it. Stuff like that. Okay, so this is what you get. You can actually just replace all of this content. We just created something for you to get started with. And then you have this email field here. And then it also comes with a middleware. So you can see this little middleware here. And then it's all here, so you can also update it. We don't abstract any of this away from you. So you can update the middleware, what it does, where it redirects to, all of that stuff. Routes which are allowed. Basically what the middleware does is if someone doesn't have access to your app, which means they are not logged in or they don't have an invite to, use your application, then no matter what routes they go to, it will just redirect back to the waitlist page. That's basically all that the middleware does. So in this case, I'm just going to sign up for the application, join waitlist, and then I get this thanks for joining. In my database, I actually don't remember what the name of the database was. So let me just do test. Very weird project name. But anyway, so I can just refresh here and S2 test. I should probably see something like that. Okay, there we go. So in waitlist emails, I see the user who just signed up for the waitlist, but that doesn't actually give the user access to your application. Yeah, so that's just you collecting an email or maybe marketing purposes or whatever. To actually give the user access to your application, we added this waitlist invite, not the model, the controller. So the controller waitlist. I think it was invite controller. Basically, it generates a token for a user, and only that user can use that token. So what it will look like is maybe you can have a mail or something. We didn't do that part for you, so that's all up to you because we have no idea how you'd do this. But how I can test it on my end is probably using Postman. Okay. And my application is running on 501, so I'll just copy that. 5501 slash waitlist slash invite. So we actually set up all of those routes for you. So if you check underscore waitlist, and we kind of separate it from all your other routes, so you don't have to search through, trying to figure out where what is. So every time we scaffold something for you, we scaffold a route partial, so we don't mix scaffolded stuff with your other routes. Okay. Waitlist invites, and you could probably just add the user you want to give access to, like this. I don't remember if I'm supposed to do any other thing else, but anyway. So this is a token tied to this particular user. So now the user can, like maybe if you're sending an email to the user, you give them a link where they could click on it, and then that link will probably be like your app slash your register page, wherever your register page is. And then invite equals something like this. If they enter, like a fake invite, it'll redirect them back here. basically just exactly what the middleware does for you. So if you have a valid invite, you can sign up. If the invite is for a different user and you try to sign up with it won't work. Basically stuff like that. So let me try this with a where I don't already have an account. Anyway, doesn't really matter. It will probably tell me the user already exists or something like that. Yeah, probably. Yeah, something like that. Let me just try with a different email. So this register invite equals that very long invite. Okay. STH testing 1 2 3 testing 1 2 3 and okay, close. Kind of weird. Oh, by the way, the login page is not covered by the um the waitlist middleware. I think I might have messed something up here. Anyway, so let me just check. Yeah, I think I probably have messed something up here with my middleware. Yeah, I don't know why I did wrong. Where is my middleware? Waitlist invite is allowed. I don't know. Probably something I'll have to check out. But anyway, that's kind of what you get. So if the user is logged in, I'll probably actually have to look at this. PSTING. What the heck? Am I in the right database? Huh, weird. Oh, right. Wrong email. Okay, there we go. Huh. Kind of weird. Kinda. Let me just try that again. Slash auth register invite equals whatever this is. Okay, that's the right one. Let me just check my. I think join controller. No, definitely not join controller. Auth register controller. Yeah. So this automatically at whenever you run the scaffold waitlist command, it kind of updates your register code to add a little something in here. So that's what handles verifying the tokens and all of the other stuff. Okay. So I don't know, everything kind of looks good over here. Yeah, I don't know. Probably I don't know. Let me just try this again. PSTING1 2 3. PSTING1 2 3. Okay, yeah, something is definitely not right. We'll have to take a look at that again. Okay. On to the next. Okay. Yeah, so I'll have to take a look at the wait list stuff. Might have something to do with the middleware or not. I don't know. It does look like a middleware issue though. Anyway, okay. Yeah, so we're just going to keep the middleware as it is. You can actually stack scaffolds on top of each other. They don't really override themselves. Sometimes. Anyway. Okay, so last thing to test scaffold subscriptions. Okay, but to do this, you need to have Leaf Billing installed. So let's just quickly run through the documentation. So Leaf Billing is, as it sounds, our payment integration. For now, only Stripe. Paystack would be in soon. How does it work? Basically, you set up your Stripe dashboard. I have mine over there. You copy your Stripe keys, so your publishable key and your public key, API key, that stuff. Set up your EMV, leaf install Stripe. You'd be able to leaf install Paystack. soon, pretty soon. So I'll just run this leaf install Stripe. We have our first, you know, not what I even call this, like a beta release. So yeah, that's v0.1.0. Okay, so leaf install Stripe, that's done. Now I just have to kind of set up my EMV, and I have no idea if I actually even still have this up here. I have like a dummy Stripe account. Stripe, uh, billing provider. Okay, there we go. Okay, so basically that is all of my those are the credentials for my dummy Stripe account. So Stripe secret key, Stripe API key, all in my EMV, leave install Stripe. And then that's pretty much all I have to do if I want to, charge for like one-time purchases. So if I want a user to maybe like click on a link to buy something, I could probably just PHP leaf G controller, like a random controller. Oh my goodness. Yeah, typo. Big typo. Anyway, so something controller like this, and then from there I could just do a billing charge like this, and then just pass in like an amount or something like that. I actually don't remember how this works. That's what documentation is for. Okay, there we go. So I could probably just have something like this. Um, so for one-time purchases, Stripe requires you to tell them what the user is buying. So you could pass in metadata.items like this, and it's just an array of, I think, the product name. This information should be somewhere around here somewhere. Nope, not this. Should be somewhere down here. Anyway, I think it's basically just the product name, as in like what people are buying, and then the price, basically. And then Stripe takes it in the lowest denomination. So yeah. Well, I think that is an array of arrays, so kind of like this. Yeah. Because you can have a one-time purchase containing a lot of things. So yeah, basically, if you want to charge for a one-time payment, this is all you have to do. This is just metadata, so it's not really necessary. And then leave or generate a payment session for you. And then you can just redirect to the payment URL. So then that will look like response. Yeah. The response redirect to session URL. Okay. So basically, this is all you have to do. And then that's it. You can charge users one-time subscriptions for things. Yeah, basically. Um, so yeah, for those stuff, you don't need any scaffolding. It's all up to you. Free control over how you want to um, structure your application, your controllers. All of that stuff is pretty much up to you. But then if you are using subscriptions, then leave scaffold stuff for you using the scaffold command we saw over here. So I'm just going to copy this and then PHP leave scaffold subscriptions. I'm using React. So it's pretty much exactly what it did for the waitlist. So it's a scaffold views, controllers, models, and all of that stuff. And then database things, it would run the database migrations for subscriptions and for users because it updates your user with, I think, the current subscription or something like that. Anyway, so it just runs the migration. So you should be good to go. So we can kind of, actually, I think there's one more thing we have to do. I think there's one more thing. I don't really remember, but I think there is one. There we go. Wait, no. Oh, okay. I think that's it. So I'm just going to copy this. What this does is basically after running this scaffold subscriptions command, you get a config billing file. And then this is the full billing config that Leaf uses behind the scenes. Um, you can scroll down to the tiers bit, and then this allows you to set subscription tiers which people will be subscribing to. So I'll just state all of the tier. The important things are the subscription name. If you have any trial days, if you don't have a trial period, you can remove that. Priced on monthly, priced on yearly. You can add other durations like priced on weekly, stuff like that, basically. Um, most subscriptions use monthly and yearly, so I'll just keep those. So price monthly, price yearly, and then features are just random stuff that appear on your card, like the subscription card you see over here in the scaffold. Anyway, so with this, there's only one step left. We have to publish this tier config on Stripe because we use Stripe to basically manage everything. We don't want to, I mean, we do already create stuff in your database, but then we want to keep all of that stuff to a bare minimum. Let's try to do all of the hard work for you. So you have to run this PHP Leaf config billing. Just going to paste this in here. And if your API keys and everything is right, this will just publish your billing config to Stripe. And from there, there's only one thing left. Actually, let's just, which account am I using? Okay, testing 1, 2, 3, and we still have our application just fine. Okay, so now I'll go back to my dashboard and I'll just get rid of this little switch thing like this. And cool, so now this is the fun part. Whenever you run the scaffold billing command, Leaf generates a bunch of views for you using whatever front end you selected, of course. And then all you have to do is include that billing component wherever you want to display it. In my case, I'm using React, so I'll just copy this. I'll probably just copy that and then let auto imports do the rest for me. So pricing, import pricing from my billing pricing, save that, go back to my application, and there I have this right here. So yeah, I can see my monthly tier, my yearly tier, all based on the stuff I set up down here in my tiers config. So $100 monthly, $1,000 yearly, and that's exactly what you have here. The prices display all of those stuff are all dynamic. And actually the whole component is in your code. So you can always edit it. You can always theme it to whatever you want. So I mean it's all here. And it's with Tailwind and all of that stuff. So you can always just change the theme, change how it looks, colors, text, anything you want. So I'm just going to click here, monthly, and then subscribe now. And then that would call one of our controllers. Leaf would do all of its stuff and then open up the billing config. Sorry, open up the payments provider page so you can sign up. Dummy Stripe card. 42424242. Okay. Okay. 1, 2, 3. Okay. And then start trial. And then from there, Stripe will redirect to your application. Leaf will continue the subscription stuff from there. And then you have current plan. So that's what that looks like. Yeah, that's pretty much what you get for the billing scaffold. If you want to test stuff like webhooks, we added some information here, but then this is for only Stripe. We'll probably update it again when the paystack stuff is done. So if you want to test webhooks, for instance, we use webhooks for subscription updates. So I'm just going to copy this You should have the Stripe CLI installed. This is the link to it. I'm just going to paste this here. And then I think my app is running on 5501, so I'll do that. And then you basically just leave this tab open. And I don't think I set up my webhook stuff. So there's I think like a Stripe um webhook secrets, something like that. And then you get that from down here. It's all from the Stripe CLI. Okay. Da, 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 da. Webhook secrets. So I just replaced that, and that is pretty much all I need to do. Don't even have to restart the server. Anyway. Okay. So yeah. So now I can actually test switching to a different plan. Okay, this is done. It's done. Quick refresh, and it's all good. So I can try subscribing to a different plan now. So switch to this plan. And since Paystack is managing our entire subscription for us, it doesn't reopen the billing page. It doesn't do anything like that. It's supposed to trigger the webhook, which it does. We get 303. That's probably from like inertia stuff. But if we refresh now, we should have oh my goodness, probably because it did not return its 100. Oh my goodness. We'll have to check on that. Hey, what happened here? Billing webhook. Looks like a 303. Webhooks controller. By the way, this is what you get for webhooks controller. The code is still with you, so you can always update it. Customer subscription updated, and then response success. Yeah, I don't know what happened there. Anyway, I think this is what I'm supposed to do, and it's supposed to be at 200 by default. Anyway, quick refresh, switch plan, and then hopefully this time. Okay, kind of weird. I thought we still getting 3. I have a feeling I'm still subscribed to the right plan. Where do I go? Quick refresh here. Subscriptions, and I am probably starter. Huh, that really is weird. I'm pretty sure on Stripe I'm already subscribed to this. Anyway, let me just try a completely different subscription, and let's see what that looks like. Yeah, still giving me a 303. First time running into this issue. That's kind of weird. Uh, yeah, that really is weird. Invoice okay, invoice, blah blah blah. Why do I have a feeling it's all of this? Yeah, probably it. Oh my goodness. Never mind. That was my bad. Um, let's switch this. Let's switch to a different plan now. Have our correct. We should have our webhooks in the right hand this time, hopefully. And they still did not. Okay. Yeah. I don't know. Event is customer subscription updated, which is right here. If event activate subscription. Yeah, there's something going on. Something funny is going on here. Oh, push one. Okay. Yeah, this is actually weird. This is so weird. Yeah, I'm actually really wondering where we're getting our 303 from. Because we're not supposed to get a 303. Nothing here is returning a 303. Probably another thing I have to look at. Okay, weird, weird for first time issue. Anyway, so this is what you get for your webhooks. I'm just going to bring this back. Uh, Probably wouldn't affect you anyway. Yeah, so there's your webhooks controller. This is where all of your webhooks go to. In this case, the webhooks are supposed to go over here. I hope this is actually where they are going, but anyway. So you can check for an event by simply checking event is. So if an event is of a type, then something should happen. In this case, we are calling event activate subscription, which activates any subscription it finds inside your request, which is why it's important to verify your webhook secret. But Leaf does that for you. So all that you need to do is set up your webhook secret in your EMV, and Leaf automatically does that. So yeah, you basically just check that, and then you can do any other thing here as your webhook event handler. Webhooks are stateless, so you can't just randomly call something like auth user. It would always return null. Same for sessions, cookies, all of that stuff. So if you want to get anything here, it has to be tied to whatever webhook request is going on. So you can do stuff like event type, event user to get the user who is, I don't know, making the payment or subscribing to something different or something like that. So you can get that from event user. And then if you're moving from a different subscription tier, you'd have access to previous subscription tier. You can cancel subscription, you can activate subscription, stuff like that. Since it's all stateless, you have to use the event, which is this variable here, for pretty much everything. So that's how that works. Just going to save this, and the final thing is you get something similar for your callback. The callback is what handles Stripe or whatever billing provider you're using redirecting back to your application. So you have same thing, just as we had with the billing webhook, you have a billing callback that returns a billing session. So you can check if the billing is successful. You can activate the subscription pretty much just like the webhook object, but slightly different. Yeah, so that's kind of what this looks like behind the scenes, and all of the files are pretty much in your code. So if you, for instance, want to listen to a different webhook event, you could always just, if event is something, so you can always just update these. We don't cover all use cases because every application is different. So we only cover the basic subscribing to something, changing to a different subscription, which is looking funny for whatever reason. That's kind of what we cover for you. Yeah, so if you need any other thing, you can just add a new if over here and handle it accordingly. Okay. Yeah, just keep in mind you're stateless. That's a big thing. Just keep in mind webhooks are stateless. You can't share state, you can't use sessions and stuff like that. Okay. So this is pretty much what scaffolding looks like. A few breaks which I have to check out after this hangout, but that's kind of like the rough idea of what um billing. I think that was something else I worked on, but I actually don't really remember what it was. Anyway, so billing, waitlist, scaffolding. Generally, this is what scaffolding would look like. Um, Funny enough, I've actually never tried scaffolding. I'm going to stop this, by the way. I've never actually checked what scaffolding a landing page would look like after already using up all of these other scaffolds. I don't know if it would play nice, but let me just try that. So I just paste this in here and let's see if that does anything. So okay, it did not break this, but will it override the Yeah, it did. It deleted some files which should exist. Okay. So they don't exactly play nice. What's this? This is index.jsx. JSX pages, and it deleted the navbar. So that's kind of what the problem is. Resolve import. Oh, right. Okay. So yeah, looks like you can't actually scaffold. Um, yeah, because it doesn't replace files. But if I happen to delete this file completely, then it would probably work. Yeah, that would work. So in this case, if I wanted to add a wait list on top of this, I would basically have to just go back to the index.jsx file, which is now a landing page, and then pop this here like waitlist form. And did that work? I don't see the waitlist form, so I'm guessing that it's not sure. Let me just move it down in here, see if that makes any difference. Unless they kind of deleted the waitlist form too. No, but that's active, yeah. Oh, right, I'm logged in. I'm logged in, so it won't. So why is my logged in state true? Okay, we'll probably have to not generate stuff on top of each other. ESTING 1, 3. Okay, and then actually log out. Okay, that's kind of weird. This is kind of weird. Anyway, um, waitlist form. Let's just get rid of you. And our waitlist forms to show. So basically, you can kind of scaffold stuff on top of each other. The only thing is the scaffolding library does not replace any files. So that's something we made sure of because we don't want to mistakenly replace anything you've already done. So if the scaffold is supposed to generate an index.jsx file and that already exists, it will just Okay. Well, I actually did not notice when the sound went out. Now I'm actually wondering when the sound went off. Oh, yikes. I don't have timestamps. Goodness. Uh, okay, this is bad. Now I'm actually really wondering when the sound went off. Please, please, please comment it. Yikes. Oh boy. Um, yeah, I was actually just getting ready to end the hangout because I had pretty much looked through all of the different scaffolds and was talking about the tiny bugs I had to fix and how I'll not be pushing out any new feature next week because um, next week is for just bug fixes, stuff on GitHub, and stuff on Discord. Yeah, on the Leaf documentation. Wait, did I finish up with all of the scaffold stuff? Because that'll be pretty bad if I didn't. Um, okay. But yeah, I think that's kind of like what I was getting at. Um, okay. Yeah. Anyway, so I was kind of ending it anyway. Yeah. So I've just a few bugs to take care of. From the scaffolding, which I did not run into earlier for whatever reason. But anyway, yeah, so I'm going to do that and then publish a new allo version. And then the scaffold chassis and stuff is also not yet out. So I'm going to push all of those out after this hangout. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So anyway, if you have anything you'd want me to look at during the week, please leave it here. As I mentioned, I'm not pushing out any new features. So this week would be all about answering questions and then fixing bugs. No new features at all, at least not that I see, not that I can think of. So yeah, I'll be heavy on Discord and then on GitHub. So if you have any issue you'd want me to check out, now would be the best time to drop any of those. Um, yeah, so right now I'm just going to fix the tiny issues we saw over here. And then the chassis and stuff will also go out together with all of that. Yeah. Okay. So that would be it for this week's hangout. Yeah. I just want to hurry up and get all of those tiny bugs fixed. So yeah. Okay. So thank you, Terry. Thanks for joining. Um, yeah, I'm just going to end it here and then get back to you guys on Discord when all's good. So be expecting a new version of the scaffolding tool pretty soon. Okay, so I'll catch you guys next week. Be safe, enjoy your weekend, and we'll meet here next week. Bye.